Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Priyo Santoso. I wanna tell you some information about scaffolding. Okay, scaffolding instruction is benefit for all students, but it's particularly essential for English language learners. By breaking up new concepts into smaller chunks and using scaffolding strategies for else, you'll make learning the English language less intimidating and help increase their understanding by gradually building upon what they already know. It also reduces frustration and helps us become more confident, motivated, and independent learners. Let's look at some simple scaffolding strategies for L students that you can use to support your students' language proficiency. For the first is modeling. Most people learn best when they see or experience something rather than just hear about it. Think about when you learn how to change a tire. Someone likely walked you through how to do it step by step while getting their hands dirty. Well, imagine instead they just wrote out the steps on a piece of paper, or worse, just rattled off what to do and set you off on your own. Learning words and concepts in a new language is a lot like changing a tire for your else. Therefore, whenever possible, you should explicitly show your students what they are expected to do rather than just telling them. Sing aloud. A think aloud session is a great technique to demonstrate how good readers make sense of a text and monitor their understanding as they read. Before having students read a passage themselves, the teacher should first read the passage aloud, stopping along the way to model their thoughts at points that may be difficult or confusing. Some questions that you can encourage students to ask themselves during a think aloud include: what do I already know about the topic? What do I think I'm going to learn? Do I understand what I just read? What more can I do to better understand? What new information did I learn? What were the most important points? While you read, be sure to model how you are working with and thinking about the text to answer the above questions, such as reading a tricky sentence or using context clues to make prediction. From there, you can have your student read the passage with a partner and practice the think aloud strategy. Once they understand the process, ask the students to read the passage once more individually so they can process it internally. Modeling for your student how to approach their thinking before, during, and after reading a text will not only help them become better readers but also become self-regulated learners. For the second is activate prior knowledge. For new concepts to sink in, they must be built upon prior understanding. Think back to tire scenario to teach someone how to change a tire. You expand upon the previous knowledge of how a tire works. So, before you dive into a new topic or text, ask students to share their ideas and experiences related to it. This helps them connect content to their own lives and increase engagement. You may need to drop hints and lead students to make connections at first, but once they see the relevance in what they are learning, it will start to become easier. For the third is promote classroom interaction. Like all students, English language learners need time to verbally process new information. Therefore, as an ESL teacher, it's important to incorporate frequent opportunities for your students to engage in structured peer discussions during your lesson. Turn and talks. Turn and talk is a simple and effective scaffolding strategy for all students that promotes classroom and interaction. Simply ask your student a question or provide them a prompt, then have them discuss with a partner. Give them enough time for both partners to contribute to the conversation and be sure to roam around the room. Assisting as needed here is assisting as needed here is the turn and talk is a total participation technique. where instead of calling on a few students share their thoughts with their whole class, you are encouraging all students to think and share their thoughts. This technique also helps us feel more comfortable and confident sharing, as it's less intimidating than speaking in front of a large class. For the fourth is pre-teach vocabulary. Pre-teaching vocabulary or front-loading vocabulary is an incredibly effective scaffolding strategy for ELs to help them tackle difficult texts. Before your student read something new, you should always dedicate time for explicit vocabulary instruction of important terms within the text. By that, so we don't mean simply asking students to pull out a dictionary, copy the definition of the word, and begin reading. This happens way too often in classroom, and unfortunately doesn't have a lasting impact on language acquisition. Vocabulary gallery work. Instead of relying on memorization, introduce vocabulary terms in a way that captures your students' interest and allows them to make connection. Print out photographs for each word and place them around the room. Then have students do a gallery work and use context clues to determine what they think each one means. After they are done, give them to share their thought before providing the actual definition. To help them better understand each definition, you can also have students create drawings, make a short skit in group, or simply get with a partner and take turns using each word in sentence. Not only does pre-teaching vocabulary support your else reading comprehension, but it also helps them learn how to use a vocabulary and new words naturally. For the fifth is use visual aids. As we mentioned above, people often learn better by seeing rather than just hearing. This is especially true for English language learners, as visual aids help them contextual information and build upon their prior knowledge. For that reason, you should use visual representation or new concept as much as possible in your classroom, including picture and drawing, charts and diagrams, graphic organizers, manipulatives, video clips, etc. It is important to note that visual aids should serve as a tool for learning rather than a product of learning. For example, a graphic organizer is often used as a scaffold to help students gather their thoughts to then write an essay. Over time, they won't need the visual aid to understand a concept or complete a task. Sort of like training wheels for riding a bike. Learning a new language is hard enough without having to do it alone. To ensure that your students achieve language proficiency and become well adjusted to their new school culture, you must use scaffolding strategies for else within your classroom. That's all of my opinions. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.